Hello everyone, it's Crown. Welcome to a brand new episode of our channel. In today's exciting video, I'm bringing you a diverse set of stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. But before we dive into these amazing narratives, I have a small favor to ask. If you enjoy my content, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on my future videos. Your support means the world to me. And now let's jump into our stories. Background. So, I'm a psychologist. I work with people with special needs and disabilities. I work with their behaviors and write behavioral plans for them and their staff and families so that they have structure in their lives. I'm also going through chemo and radiation for cancer. I had surgery 2 years ago to have cancer removed from my left inner thigh. I walk with a cane. Cancer has come back in a number of different places and I'm now doing treatments a couple times a week. The story. So this happened almost a month ago. I drive about an hour each way for my treatments. After my treatment, I decided to stop by the grocery store to pick up items because after treatments, I normally don't feel like going out for a few days and want to lay around. So I pull into the parking lot and I see a store scooter sitting out in the lot. I decided that I'm tired and I would just use a scooter today to rest my leg and help ease the pressure. Now, I do have a handicap card and I do use it at times when I'm drained from treatments. But if I'm having a good day, I try to save the spaces for others that need it more than I do. So I park and get on a scooter and head into the store. As I get into the store, there stands this monster. When I say monster, she's, I'm guessing, 5'8", 300 to 400 pounds, and she looks right at me and says, "Thank you so much. I've been waiting on this scooter forever." I told her that I'm sorry ma'am, but I'm using this scooter as my leg is acting up and I just got done with my radiation and chemo treatments. Karen didn't like this response. Remember, I have a cane. The cane is right between my legs and the scooter. She then starts yelling and telling me that I'm too lazy and that how dare I not give a disability person the scooter. I looked at her and said, "You seem to be walking fine." So I continue past her. And now, if anyone knows store layouts, I went in on the side of clothes, cosmetics, and so on. It was the closest to where I parked. I needed to pick up a few things from the food section. Karen starts to follow me, so I go to the very back of the store being followed and yelled at by this monster. I then drive down the back aisle towards the food section, and this whole time she's telling me how she can't walk, that I'm a jerk for not giving her the scooter, and that I'm faking my condition. I keep going and continue to ignore her. And I finally got to the dairy section of the store. She's still behind me yelling and carrying on. So I grab what I need and go to the next aisle. Finally, I'm in the third aisle, and all of a sudden I feel my left arm being pulled, and next thing I know, I'm standing right up on the scooter. I had to grab my cane as I was being forcefully removed from the scooter to keep from falling over. She was still yelling at me and I guess my reaction was not to her approval. I grabbed her hand and twisted it behind her back, forcing her to go face first onto the floor. Now what happens next I kinda regret, but honestly I think this switch needed to be put in her place. You judge. I pull my cane on her back while I'm still holding her arm. And I yell as loud as I can. "Listen here, you fat cow. You're not handicapped. You're fat and lazy. You just followed me through half the store. I work with people with disabilities and not one of them acts like they deserve or are entitled to a single thing. And maybe if you didn't go to the all-you-can-eat buffet for every meal, you might actually lose some weight and would feel entitled to use what you don't actually need." What I didn't know at the time was that two guys working security in clothes have been following and watching us since she started her nonsense at the front of the store. They approached us and one of the security gentlemen asked me if he could give me a hand up. I accepted and he helped me back onto the scooter. Karen, you would think, would start yelling, crying and saying that I assaulted her, but nope. This witch was mad. I was going to rip my head off and kill me. Apparently she has never been so insulted in her life. No one has ever treated her or disrespected her ever in that kind of manner. Apparently, as the witch was grabbing me, one of the security guards had already called the police. I don't know exactly how long after this they showed up, but I do know both of the security were standing between this monster and myself as she was asked for my blood. The police showed up, asked me to stay seated and put Karen in cuffs as they had heard her threats. The officers asked the guards what had happened more than myself and Karen. The store manager eventually showed up and escorted one of the police officers to see the CCTV footage of this fabulous show. They came back after 15 to 20 minutes and read Karen her rights, to which I was shocked and impressed. She actually used them. Now, I was not asked if I wanted to press charges, but I'm guessing the store did. I was apologized to many times by the manager, and off Karen went. I grabbed a few more things, I went up to checkout, and the manager asked for my name, address, and so on. He gave me 50% off my purchase and a gift card for $250. He apologized again, and I went on my way. 2 weeks ago, I got a letter in the mail with a court date. Apparently, Karen has been charged and I have to testify about the incident in court near the end of November. Update: I went to court yesterday. Karen was charged and found guilty of harassment, abuse, and disorderly conduct. I also have found out that this was her third offense. She has a record already for harassing and abusing seniors and people that are handicapped. She has been banned from the store for a lifetime and apparently has been banned from other stores and restaurants as well. They played the store video footage of the situation. From the time I came into the store to where the police arrested her, the judge had no sympathy for her as she sat in the courtroom and did not say a word. Her lawyer used her weight as an excuse for her actions and even had the nerve to tell the court that if I was a true gentleman, I would have given her the scooter and there never would have been an issue. The judge, the prosecutor, and myself all just looked at this idiot like, what the hell? I was asked about my medical condition and explained my situation. The judge actually apologized to me for her actions. He asked me what I did for a living and I explained I was a psychologist and behavior specialist and worked with people with special needs and disability. He then asked me if I thought Karen needed a behavior plan and counseling. I chuckled and said, I think she needs to learn how to treat people and that people will treat her how she treats them. The judge smiled. So Karen was sentenced to 18 months in jail and must serve all the sentences. She will have 2 years probation and she is to start counseling in jail that will continue until the counselor sees that she's no longer a threat to people. He told her that this counseling will continue until the judge sees fit to end it. He also informed Karen that this is her one and only chance to get her act together. Karen kept glancing at me with daggers as a judge was passing sentence. I smiled at her. As a judge finished up, he asked me if I wanted to add anything as he seemed to notice her looks towards me. I politely stood up and smiled at her and said, first off, Karen, I was not the one that pressed charges. Secondly, I hope you understand that no matter how entitled you think you are, there are people in this world that have issues and health problems. Under the Disabilities Care Act, your actions created the mess you are now in because it was easier for you to harass people instead of asking or actually doing things for yourself. I then told her that I help people for a reason. My phone is on for my patients 24/7, 365. I also informed her that I have no hard feelings towards her and that if she would accept my offer, that I would be willing to work with her at no cost to help her improve herself and her life. Karen gave me a huge smile and then replied with a huge "screw you." And for that, the judge sat back in his chair. He was smiling from ear to ear and asked her to stand up. The judge then told her that he changed his mind in his ruling. Karen will now be serving 36 months with no early release, 5 years probation, and will see a psychiatrist weekly until the judge finds her fit to be a member of society. He then explained that her actions towards me were a disgrace, and that for someone that put herself in this situation, she should realize when someone offers an olive branch. Most people would consider taking it, but to show her disrespect and no remorse for her actions, he finds it fitting that her new sentence is more fitting for her. About 2 years ago, I worked at a gym. I worked night shifts until 6 a.m., so not much usually happened. My manager liked me, and a guy, I'll call him Lee, that worked with me on nights, since we did almost all the gym upkeep like cleaning and paperwork, and we also filled in day shifts information whenever they messaged us and said they forgot something. I worked there for about 3 or so years, so I knew how everything worked. I also have a service dog because of my severe PTSD and autism, and corporate approved of me having a service dog with me. We have this segment in a sign-up sheet that states the yearly fee all members get so long as they are a member on yearly sign-ups, and we're required to verbally state it while we help get them signed up. Enter an entitled mother. She came in and then walked up to me to the front desk and yelled at me that I was stealing money from her son, and I calmly asked her, "Miss, could you explain?" I was really confused and my service dog didn't react to her because she's a good girl. She then basically said that I was stealing money from her son by charging him a yearly fee. I got the member documents up and showed her the fee takeout. The member is a regular, and as long as you have a signed agreement, corporate charges a membership unless you call to cancel. Keep in mind I'm behind a large front counter desk, and the service dog stays underneath the counter unless she alerts me. Service dog came out to stretch a bit as I was explaining why I wasn't stealing. Mind you, she has a large vest that says service dog, and corporate as well as management know for a fact that I have her. Human resources approved of her being there already. The entitled mother notices a dog who's not doing anything and then starts screaming to call the police since my dog was trying to attack her, which she wasn't. A few minutes pass and the cops come after my coworker calls him up, having witnessed everything that's been happening. Before I could say anything, she talked about my dog like she wanted to have my service dog put down. I stayed calm and was trembling at this point since I was horrified by the situation, and the officer asked me my side of the story while the entitled mother was just staring like she was given the Best Person of the Year award. Lee was able to confirm what happened, and I pointed to our security camera above the front desk. The entitled mother turned pale and went full return to monkey mode and started yelling at myself and the officer. At this point, the cop didn't like her attitude and said if they need to, they'll come back and ask for security footage. That's when my coworker and I nodded in response and said okay. After giving him the hours, our manager was usually in for work so he could get the footage from them. The cop took the entitled mother out of the store and said she was banned from the store until further notice. The manager heard about what happened by Lee and he reviewed the tapes himself. It was decided from that point on that she was permanently banned from the gym. I'm 29 male, my sister 26 female and her husband 40 male are looking to come visit my city for the solar eclipse in April since we're in the best of totality. That's cool and I'm excited to see my sister, but she made a comment the other day about how excited she was to stay at our house. I was confused since I hadn't invited her and didn't have a guest room, just an air mattress in a library. And I asked for clarity. She said something like, I just figured we'd stay with you guys like I did in college so we could save some money. While it's true that my wife and I put her up in college when she came for visits, we also open our home to everyone else in our family, those who are willing to sleep on an air mattress. Not many. I have said a fair number of times that I won't have her husband under my roof for any length of time. He's a jerk who groomed my sister for a very young age that somehow my family doesn't see. I won't have him in my home, especially since he makes creepy comments towards my wife, who's 32, but gets regularly mistaken for a high schooler when she wears casual clothing. When I explained that I have been serious when I said that for the last 4 years, she got mad and hung up on me. Within an hour I was being harassed by my mother for being a bad sibling, and even my younger brother, who agrees the husband is a creep, asked me if I could get over it so mom would stop yelling about it. He still lives at home while in school, so he's the most directly impacted by mom's mood. I am getting overwhelming family pressure to let them stay because He's family now, and you stick up for family. So I turned to Reddit. Am I the jerk for this? Edit for clarity. A lot of people have asked about their finances. She's just graduating grad school and he's a teacher who's been fired multiple times for hitting on his students, which is how they met. So they really are pretty broke. I wasn't very clear earlier. He's made gross comments in front of my mother about how my wife should go into an inappropriate industry because she could legally portray someone underage. My mother is old-fashioned and thinks this is boys being boys. When both I and my wife told him how inappropriate that was and to knock it off, we were ruining Thanksgiving. And it was just a joke. So we left and have been low contact the last year anyways. I just miss my sister. We were inseparable growing up. And now some comments on the post. Someone saying, "You're not the jerk. It's your house. You decide who stays and who doesn't. Also, just let the family know he makes your wife uncomfortable. If that's not a good enough reason for them, then they are just as bad as your creepy brother-in-law." Another commenter adds, "Not the jerk, but I don't understand why these conversations have to get beyond. Sorry, it's just not a great time for us to host guests." At that point, the prospective guest should go, "Oh, okay, that's alright, no matter who they are." The third commenter goes with, "Not the jerk. It's your house. She's your sister, but you've set clear boundaries and have stated how unhappy you are with her creep of a husband. If you're not happy, of course, you're not going to let them in your home. Don't let your family pressure you into saying yes to something you don't want to do." Some background information. We have the kind of neighbor you don't want to have. He did all these petty things like park in front of our house and all the other kinds of nonsense. Now on to the story. I'll keep it short because I'm not too great at English. It started out a few years ago and me and my parents were driving to the empty parking spot in front of our house when he came driving like an idiot and threw his car in a spot. A few nasty names later, we decided to be the grown-ups and we parked on the next street. We thought that this would be it, but we were wrong. He continues calling us names, throwing waste over the fence and just being a jerk. But then about 2 years later, it was December 31st and we had some not too legal fireworks. We started out just having fun and used it like it was intended until he came out swearing about how we scared him. I still ask myself why he would come out if he was scared. But we got him back inside when we started our little tradition to burn packaging and trash we had. But this time underneath his car. He came out swearing and called the police. But his car was already on fire. The police came and he filed a report, but because nobody else complained about us, we just had a warning. A neighbor even came out and accused him of setting his car on fire so he could get us a fine or even time in prison. The nice neighbor got a big kick the next day and the jerk now has to ride his bike until he can afford a new car. We all lived happily ever after and all that nonsense because he still was a jerk. And that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through these incredible, sometimes shocking stories. I hope you found them as engaging and thought-provoking as I did. If you've made it this far, don't forget to hit that like button, it really helps out. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel for more content like this. Your support enables me to continue bringing these interesting stories to light. And finally, remember to take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, stay curious and kind. And I'll see you in the next episode.